I didn't confront my wife when I found the messages. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I made a reservation. Right next to hers. And I showed up with the one person she never expected to meet. Her lover's wife. By the time the appetizers hit the table, my wife's perfect little secret wasn't a secret anymore, and the man she chose over our family was sweating through a $900 suit. My name is Hunter Travis. I'm 44. And that Friday night in Seattle, I didn't ruin their date. They did. I just made sure everyone watched. 3 weeks earlier, I still believed I had a solid marriage. Not a fairy tale, nothing is when you're raising 3 kids and working too much, but solid. Stable. Built. The kind of marriage that survives because you convince yourself the routine is love. I was a managing partner at a mid-sized law firm downtown. Long days. Brutal cases. But the work paid for the 4-bedroom in Maple Valley, private school tuition, and the comfortable life people like to compliment us on. My wife, Ashley, was director of HR at a medical company. Smart. Organized. Social. The kind of woman who could read a room in 10 seconds and say the exact sentence that made people feel important. We met at the University of Washington. Married young. Built fast. 3 kids later, Madison, Carter, and Brianna, we were the couple other people called a power team. And that's the problem with looking perfect from the outside. You stop checking if it's rotting on the inside. It was a Thursday night. I came home after closing the biggest case of my year. The kind of win that puts your name higher on the firm website and adds a bonus big enough to make you breathe easier. I got in around 11 p.m. The house was dark, except for a soft kitchen light. Ashley's car was in the driveway. That surprised me, she'd texted earlier, grabbing drinks with Emma. Don't wait up. I figured she'd taken an Uber home. There was a plate of pasta on the counter and a sticky note, saved you dinner. Long day. In bed. I warmed the food, sat at the island, and scrolled emails while I ate. And then I noticed her iPad on the table. The screen was still on. Normally, I wouldn't have looked. I wasn't that husband. Trust was the foundation of our marriage, at least that's what I'd always told myself. But something, instinct, timing, God, call it whatever you want, made me glance down. A messaging app was open. Not iMessage. Not WhatsApp. One of those encrypted apps people use when they don't want a trail. At the top of the chat was a single letter, C, and the last message made my blood go cold, C, Friday. Same place. 8 p.m. I can't wait. Ashley, I'll tell Hunter I have a late HR meeting. He doesn't question it anymore. I sat there with my fork in my hand like it weighed 50 pounds. The pasta turned to cardboard in my mouth. My brain did that weird thing it does in a crisis, where everything gets quiet, and you start thinking like a machine. I didn't read every message. I didn't need to. The pattern was obvious. There were weeks of, miss you, thinking of you, can't stop. My wife wasn't just flirting. She was living a second life. I didn't have to guess who C was for long. For 6 months, Ashley had been obsessed with her new gym. A private club downtown. Exclusive. Expensive. She claimed it was about feeling strong again. And she talked about her trainer like he was a celebrity. Chase Foster. Owner of Apex Athletic Club. Early 40s. Perfect smile. Big online following. I remembered the way she'd shown me his Instagram once, casually, like it meant nothing. Look at his client transformations. He's legit. I had even supported it. Paid for the membership. Encouraged her. Because I thought I was being a good husband. Turns out I was funding my own humiliation. That night, I could have stormed upstairs. I could have thrown the iPad on the bed and demanded answers. But I didn't. Because I'm an attorney. And the one thing my job taught me is this: you don't confront without evidence. You don't move without a plan. So I did what I always do. I built a case. I took photos, quietly, carefully, of every message on that screen. Then I placed the iPad back exactly where it was. I finished my dinner. I went upstairs. Ashley was asleep. Or pretending to be. I slid into bed beside her and stared at the ceiling, while my marriage collapsed in my head, piece by piece. The next morning, Ashley smiled at me over coffee like nothing happened. "How'd it go last night? You looked exhausted." "We won," I said calmly. She kissed my forehead. "I'm proud of you." Then, without missing a beat, she said, "By the way, I have a late HR meeting Friday. Don't wait up. Probably home after 9. There it was. The lie, delivered like routine. And that's when I knew something else. This wasn't a mistake. It was a habit. I called my brother, Tyler. He worked in cybersecurity and digital forensics. I didn't ask for comfort. I asked for precision. Within 24 hours, he had what I needed: a clean record of communications, timestamps, locations, and backups, everything. Then I looked up Chase Foster. And that's when I found the piece that made my plan possible. Chase wasn't single. He was married. To Savannah Foster. She ran an art gallery in Pioneer Square. Her email was public. I stared at the screen for a full minute before I typed. I kept it short. Controlled. Respectful. "My name is Hunter Travis. I believe our spouses are involved. I have proof. If you're willing, I'd like to speak privately." Her reply came within the hour: "Come by tomorrow at 4. I think I already know." That line hit me harder than anything else. Because it meant she'd been living with suspicion, while I'd been living with denial. When I walked into her gallery, she wasn't crying. She was composed. Elegant. Sharp. Calm in the way people get when they've already survived the worst part privately. She didn't ask me to explain. She didn't waste time. She said, "It's Chase. And it's your wife." Then she pulled out her phone and showed me photos an investigator had taken. Ashley and Chase. Downtown. Hotel lobby. Laughing like teenagers. I felt something in my chest crack. But I didn't fall apart. Not in front of her. Savannah studied me like she was evaluating a business proposal. "So," she said, "what do you want to do?" I took a breath. "I want them to think it's just another date," I said. "And then I want them to realize, they're not the only ones who prepared." Savannah's lips lifted slightly. Not a smile. More like a decision. "You have a place." "Altitude," I said. "The steakhouse in Columbia Tower. Friday. 8 p.m. She nodded like she already knew the restaurant. "Okay," she said. "We sit next to them." The next day, I called the restaurant and paid an extra fee for one thing: a table directly beside Chase Foster's reservation. Not close. Not same area. Beside. And when the hostess confirmed it, she said, "Sir, just to confirm. You want table 17 next to table 16. The Foster reservation." "Yes," I said. Then I texted Savannah one sentence: "Friday. 7:45, wear your armor." She replied, "Already planned." Because the truth was, I wasn't walking into that restaurant to cause a scene. I was walking in to end a lie, with witnesses, with evidence, and with 2 betrayed spouses who were done being quiet. And on Friday night, when Ashley turned her head and saw me seated next to her date, I watched her face lose all color. Because she didn't just see me. She saw Savannah. And in that moment, my wife understood something she'd never considered: she wasn't the only one who'd been played. The hostess didn't lead us near them. She led us to them. Table 16 was already occupied: candlelight, skyline view, white tablecloth so bright it made everything look innocent. Ashley sat with her body angled toward him, like she'd forgotten what marriage even felt like. And across from her was Chase Foster, relaxed, confident, wearing the kind of smile men wear when they think they're untouchable. Then the hostess stopped. "Right here, Mr. Travis." And she pulled out our chairs. Ashley saw me first. Her fork froze halfway to her mouth. Her face didn't just change, it emptied, like every thought in her head got unplugged at once. Chase followed her stare and turned. The moment his eyes landed on Savannah, his smile slid off his face so fast it looked painful. Savannah didn't flinch. She didn't glare. She didn't blink rapidly or hold back tears. She sat down like a woman arriving to a meeting she scheduled herself. I pulled her chair out, waited until she was settled, then took my seat. Calm. Controlled. Like I belonged there. Because I did. Ashley whispered my name like it was a warning. Hunter, I smiled politely. The kind of smile I use in court when someone's about to lie under oath. Hey, I said. What a coincidence. Her voice shook. What are you doing here? I leaned back slightly. Eating, I said. Same as you. Then I looked at Chase, still pretending he had options. Chase Foster, right? He didn't answer immediately. He was too busy trying to figure out how the universe had rearranged itself. Savannah spoke first, soft, precise. Hello, Chase. He cleared his throat. Savannah. I can explain. Savannah tilted her head slightly. You always explain, she said. That's kind of your brand. Ashley's eyes darted between us like she was reading a script that wasn't loading. This isn't what it looks like, she blurted. I laughed once. Quietly. Ashley, you're sitting at a candlelit table with a married man while telling me you had an HR meeting. I glanced around, then back to her. If that's not what it looks like, we should all sue this restaurant for false advertising. Her mouth opened. Closed. Chase tried to stand, like movement alone could reset reality. Savannah didn't raise her voice. Sit, she said. It wasn't a command. It was a verdict. Chase sat back down. And that's when I noticed something important: people were listening. Not obviously. Not dramatically. But nearby conversations started to thin out. Forks slowed. Glasses paused mid-air. The room sensed it. This wasn't drunk drama. This was a controlled detonation. A server approached with water, eyes careful. Good evening, Savannah smiled at her, warm as silk. We'll have a minute, she said kindly. The server nodded and retreated like she'd been trained to respect danger. Ashley leaned toward me, voice low, urgent. Hunter, please. Can we talk about this privately? I didn't move. Privately. I repeated. I tapped the table once with my finger. You've been doing private for months. Her eyes filled, real tears, or the kind that show up when consequences walk in. Chase tried another angle. The confident man angle. Look, he said, jaw tight, whatever is happening here, this is inappropriate. You're making a scene. Savannah turned her eyes to him slowly. No, she said. We're attending one. Then she reached into her purse and placed a thin folder on the table. Not slammed. Not thrown. Placed. Like paperwork. Chase's eyes flicked down, then back up. Where did you get that? Savannah's voice stayed calm. From my accountant, she said. And my investigator. Ashley blinked hard. Investigator? Savannah nodded. Yes, Ashley. A professional. Because when you suspect a man is lying, you don't argue with him, she leaned in slightly. You document him. Ashley's breath hitched. I slid my phone onto the table, screen down. I did the same, I said. Ashley's voice cracked. You went through my stuff. I lifted an eyebrow. You went through our marriage. That landed. Ashley went still like she'd been slapped without a hand. Chase looked between us, trying to salvage control. Savannah, whatever you think you know, Savannah cut him off with the softest voice in the world. Oh, I know plenty, she said. Then she turned the folder toward him and tapped a page with one finger. And I know this is why you really did it. Chase didn't touch the folder. He didn't need to. His face gave him away. Ashley noticed. Her head turned sharply toward him. What is she talking about? Savannah held Ashley's gaze, measured and almost sympathetic. Your boyfriend, she said, isn't just cheating. She paused, letting it hang long enough to hurt. He's been moving money. Ashley looked confused, then defensive. From where? Savannah's smile didn't reach her eyes. From his business, she said. From accounts you don't even know exist. Chase's voice went cold. Stop. Savannah shrugged slightly. You should have stopped, she said. But you didn't. Ashley's attention snapped fully onto Chase now. Chase, what is she saying? Chase turned to Ashley fast, too fast. She's lying. She's trying to scare you. Savannah quietly slid one photo out of the folder and pushed it forward. It was a screenshot of a transfer. A number big enough to make Ashley's pride blink. Ashley stared. Then she whispered, Chase. Chase's jaw clenched. Savannah added, gently, and before you start thinking this is only about romance, she tapped the paper again. He's been doing it for months. Which means, while he was telling you he couldn't wait to build a future, her eyes sharpened. He was building an exit. Ashley's face tightened, like her mind was trying to protect itself. No, she said, barely audible. I watched her, really watched her, because this was the moment I hadn't planned for. The moment where she realized she wasn't special. She was convenient. Just like I had been. Chase's hands flexed on the tablecloth. Savannah, he warned. Savannah didn't blink. I already reported it, she said. Chase's eyes widened, just a fraction. Ashley's head snapped up. Reported it to who? Savannah's voice was smooth as a blade. The people who don't care about your excuses, she said. Not your gym members. Not your followers. She leaned back. The kind of people who audit. Chase looked like he might actually vomit. Ashley stared at him like she was seeing him for the first time. And in the middle of that silence, my phone buzzed. Once. Then Savannah's buzzed too. Then Chase's. Then Ashley's. 4 screens lighting up at once, like the universe syncing receipts. Ashley grabbed her phone and her face drained again. She looked at me with pure panic. Hunter, what did you do? I didn't smile. I didn't gloat. I just spoke quietly. I moved my life out of your hands, I said. And I stopped funding your lies. Ashley's throat worked like she couldn't swallow. What are you talking about? I nodded toward her phone. Check your banking app. Her fingers trembled as she tapped. Her eyes widened. Then her mouth opened in a silent, broken sound. Because the joint account, the one she treated like oxygen, was showing an error message. Savannah didn't react. She'd already known that part. Chase stared at his phone, and whatever notification he saw hit him like a punch. He stood up so abruptly his chair screeched. Excuse me, I need to. Savannah's voice stopped him mid-motion. Sit, she said again. Chase didn't sit. He looked around, suddenly aware that people were watching openly now. Then he did the one thing cowards do when a lie catches fire, he reached for the quickest escape. He turned to Ashley. This is your husband's fault, he hissed. Ashley flinched. And I realized something. This man didn't love her. He didn't even respect her. He respected what she gave him, attention, secrecy, validation. Now that she came with consequences. He was already distancing himself. Savannah stood slowly. Not dramatic. Just final. I'll be filing, she said to Chase. And I'll be keeping everything. Then she looked at Ashley, calm, almost merciful. You can keep him, she said softly. But you should know, her eyes flicked once toward Chase. He never belonged to you. He belongs to himself. Savannah turned to me. You ready? I stood. I placed a single bill on the table, enough to cover water, plus insult. Then I looked at Ashley. My wife. The woman who had lied to my face for months and still kissed my forehead in the morning. We'll talk, I said. But not tonight. Ashley's voice broke. Hunter, please. Don't do this. I held her gaze. I'm not doing anything, I said quietly. I'm just not saving you anymore. Then I walked away with Savannah beside me. And behind us, I heard Ashley call Chase's name, not like a lover. Like someone realizing too late she'd bet everything on the wrong man. In the elevator, Savannah's phone buzzed again. She glanced at the screen once, then looked at me. Her voice was steady. Hunter, she paused. He's not just moving money. I frowned. What do you mean? Savannah met my eyes. He's been using your wife's company to do it. The air in my lungs stopped. Because if that was true, Ashley wasn't just a cheater. She was about to become a scapegoat in a crime she didn't even understand. And suddenly, this wasn't just about ending a marriage. This was about survival. Savannah didn't say another word in the elevator. Neither did I. The doors closed, and the soft instrumental music felt obscene against the weight of what she'd just said. He's been using your wife's company to do it. I watched the numbers descend, my reflection warped in the brushed steel walls. Ashley wasn't just cheating. She was standing in the blast radius of something much bigger. Outside, the city air hit us cold and sharp. Savannah walked a few steps ahead, heels clicking with purpose, like a woman who had already crossed the emotional finish line. She stopped under a streetlight. Hunter, she said, turning to face me. Before we go any further, I need to know something. I nodded. Ask. If this turns criminal, she said evenly, are you willing to let it? I didn't answer immediately. Because that question wasn't about Chase. It was about Ashley. About the mother of my children. About the line between justice and mercy. Savannah read my hesitation and didn't push. She just waited. Finally, I said the truth. I won't protect a lie, I said. But I won't manufacture guilt either. She studied me for a moment, then nodded once. That's all I needed to hear. The next morning, I didn't go into the office. I called in sick, something I almost never did. Instead, I drove to my brother Tyler's place, same forensic analyst who had helped me earlier. He opened the door in sweatpants, coffee in hand, already reading my face. This isn't about the affair anymore, is it? He asked. No, I said. It's about a crime. That got his full attention. An hour later, Savannah joined us. 3 adults around a dining table that suddenly felt like a war room. Savannah laid everything out, transfers, shell accounts, timing. Chase hadn't been sloppy. He'd been confident. Here's the problem, Tyler said, scrolling through data on his laptop. This isn't random. These transfers line up with HR access windows. I stiffened. Explain. Your wife, Tyler said carefully, has system permissions that would let someone mask payroll movements and vendor payments, temporarily. Savannah exhaled slowly. So he used her access. Or, Tyler corrected, he used her. My chest tightened. Because I suddenly remembered something Ashley had said months ago, offhand, almost proud. Chase says I'm a genius with systems. He doesn't understand how HR doesn't run the company. I hadn't thought twice about it then. Now it felt like a confession echoing backward. By noon, we had the outline. Chase had been siphoning money through his gym business, laundering it via payroll and consulting fees routed through accounts Ashley could approve. Not because she wanted to help him steal. But because she trusted him. Because she wanted to feel needed. Because she wanted to feel chosen. And that's how predators work. They don't force you. They invite you. She's exposed, Tyler said bluntly. If this comes out the wrong way, it'll look like she was complicit. Savannah's jaw tightened. That bastard planned it. Yes, Tyler said. And worse, he insulated himself. How? I asked. He used her credentials, Tyler said. Her access logs. Her approvals. The room went quiet. Savannah finally spoke. So when the investigation starts, it points to her first, Tyler finished. My hands curled into fists. Ashley wasn't innocent, but she also wasn't the mastermind. She was a convenient shield. A fall guy with a paycheck and a clean reputation. And suddenly I understood something that made my stomach turn. Chase hadn't just been cheating on Savannah. He hadn't just been sleeping with Ashley. He had been positioning her. I sat in my car for a long time after that. The steering wheel felt cold under my palms. I thought about my kids. About custody hearings. About what it would mean if their mother was under investigation. I thought about that night at the restaurant, her panic, her confusion. Not guilt. Fear. And I made a decision I never thought I would. I called Ashley. She answered on the second ring. Her voice was raw. Exhausted. Hunter. I'm glad it's you. I closed my eyes. We need to talk, I said. Not about us. A pause. Then about what? About Chase. Her breath hitched. What about him? Are you at home? Yes. Good, I said. Sit down. The silence stretched. Then, you're scaring me. You should be scared, I said gently. But not of me. I told her everything. Not dramatically. Not angrily. Fact by fact. Transfer by transfer. Her name. Her access. Her approvals. She didn't interrupt. She didn't cry. When I finished, there was a long, hollow quiet. Then she whispered, he said it was temporary. My jaw tightened. He said it was for tax optimization, she continued, voice breaking. He said his accountant recommended it. He said it was legal. I leaned my head back against the seat. And you believed him? Yes, she said, barely audible. Because I trusted him. That was the moment. Not when she admitted the affair. Not when she cried at the restaurant. This moment, when she realized she'd been used. What do I do? She asked. I didn't answer right away. Because this was the crossroads. If I helped her, I protected my children's mother. If I didn't, I let the truth burn everything down. Finally, I said, you tell me everything. Over the next 2 hours, Ashley confessed, not to cheating, but to ignorance. She'd approved things she didn't understand. She'd signed off because Chase reassured her. Because he made her feel important. Because he made her feel chosen. She had no idea about offshore accounts. No idea about long-term planning. No idea she was being positioned as the exit. I didn't know, she kept repeating. I swear I didn't know. And for the first time since all this began, I believed her. Because liars defend themselves. But used people blame themselves. Listen to me, I said finally. You need a lawyer. Now. I can't afford, I don't care, I cut in. I'm not doing this for you. Silence. I'm doing it for our kids. She started crying then. Real crying. The kind that doesn't ask for forgiveness. The kind that comes when the illusion finally dies. That night, Savannah and I met again. I told her everything. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she nodded slowly. So he tried to set her up, she said. Yes. And you're helping her. Yes. Savannah looked out the window at the city lights. Then she surprised me. Good, she said. I turned. Good. She met my eyes. Because now, she said, he doesn't just lose everything. She smiled, small, sharp. He loses control of the narrative. She pulled out her phone and showed me an email draft. Recipient, State Financial Crimes Unit CC, IRS Criminal Division subject line, voluntary disclosure, cooperative witness. My stomach dropped. You already, I haven't sent it yet, she said. But I will. She looked at me. Together. That's when it hit me. Chase thought he was the smartest man in every room. He thought he had 2 women fooled. What he didn't see coming was the moment those 2 women, and the man he underestimated, started comparing notes. At 11:47 p.m., my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered. A man's voice, tight, controlled. Hunter Travis, he said. This is Detective Reynolds with the Washington State Financial Crimes Unit. I swallowed. We need to speak with you, he continued. Tonight. I looked at Savannah. She already knew. Because Chase's house of cards had just started collapsing. The interview room smelled like burnt coffee and disinfectant. There's a very specific silence in police buildings, one that doesn't rush you, doesn't threaten you, just waits until your thoughts get loud enough to betray you. Detective Reynolds sat across from me, sleeves rolled up, notepad closed. He wasn't here to intimidate. He was here because the pieces already fit. Mr. Travis, he said calmly, this is off the record for now. You're not a suspect. I exhaled slowly. But, he continued, you are a witness. He slid a folder across the table. Inside were screenshots I'd already seen, and some I hadn't. Transfers. Time stamps. Approval chains. And then, Chase Foster's name, highlighted again and again like a stain that wouldn't come out. We know he used your wife's credentials, Reynolds said. What we needed was confirmation that she didn't understand the scope. She didn't, I said. She was manipulated. Reynolds nodded once. That matches what Mrs. Foster provided. Savannah. She'd already spoken. Chase had no idea how fast the ground was moving beneath him. Ashley was interviewed separately. I didn't see it, but I heard about it later, from her lawyer, from Savannah, from the tone of the detective when he came back into the room. She didn't deny anything, Reynolds said. She cooperated fully. My chest tightened. She's not being charged, he said. But she's lucky. Lucky. Such a small word for a woman who almost lost everything because she wanted to feel loved. She gave us access, he continued. Passwords. Emails. Calendars. She cried once. Then she got very clear. That sounded like Ashley. She always found clarity after the damage was done. Chase was arrested 2 days later. Not publicly. Not dramatically. Just, removed. From his gym. From his accounts. From the illusion he'd built so carefully. He tried to call me that night. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail. Hunter, listen, man, this is all getting blown out of proportion. Your wife knew what she was doing. Savannah is twisting things. We can fix this if you just, I deleted it halfway through. Because men like Chase don't panic when they're guilty. They panic when control slips out of their hands. There was no screaming in court. No speeches. No tears. Just documents. Numbers. Signatures. Chase's lawyer tried to argue intent. The judge didn't buy it. Fraud. Tax evasion. Conspiracy. Plea deal. 5 years. Savannah sat beside me during the hearing, composed, elegant, untouched by the chaos. When the gavel fell, she didn't smile. She just closed her eyes. Later, outside the courthouse, she said quietly, I didn't want revenge. I know, I said. I wanted truth, she replied. And silence. She got both. Ashley moved out a week later. Not angrily. Not dramatically. She packed quietly while the kids were at school. When she handed me her keys, her voice trembled, but she didn't ask for forgiveness. I know I don't deserve it, she said, but thank you, for not destroying me. I looked at her for a long moment. I didn't save you, I said. I protected our children. She nodded. That was enough. 3 months passed. The scandal faded. The gym shut down. Savannah reopened her gallery under her maiden name. She sent me one final message: he tried to build a life by stealing from women. He lost it because women compared notes. I never replied. Some chapters don't need echoes. One night, my daughter asked me, Dad, if you could go back, would you stop Mom before everything happened? I thought carefully. No, I said. Because then I'd still be living a lie. She nodded. Me too. I once believed betrayal destroyed families. Now I know the truth. Silence does. And the moment we stopped protecting lies, everything finally fell into place.